I spot my reflection in the polished glass doors of the Grand Meridian Hotel, and I barely recognize myself. The woman staring back wears a lavender dress that costs 2 weeks' salary and heels that already pinch my toes. My hair, normally secured in a practical bun beneath a chef's hat, falls in loose waves around my shoulders. For a fleeting moment, I look like I belong at my brother's high society wedding. The illusion shatters the instant I step inside. The pre-ceremony gathering swells with conversations about law firms, medical practices, and investment portfolios. I clutch my champagne flute, a lifeline in a sea of strangers who are technically family. A waiter passes with a tray of canapés, and I automatically assess their presentation. Old habits. Then I hear my father's voice, carrying from a nearby cluster of his colleagues. "Yes, that's my daughter over there, Scarlett," he says, gesturing vaguely in my direction. "She's just a cook, not a professional like Michael." My mother's gentle laugh follows, the sound I once associated with bedtime stories and now recognize as social currency. We tried to guide her toward law school, but she was always stubborn. The champagne turns sour in my mouth. Heat rushes up my neck and floods my cheeks. My hand trembles, sending ripples across the golden liquid in my glass. Just a cook. After 6 years of culinary school, 3 years of working 16-hour days for minimum wage, and finally earning my position as head chef at one of the city's most respected restaurants, the memory surfaces without warning. Sunday dinner, 7 years ago. The dining room table polished to a mirror shine, my father at the head, as always. I had finally worked up the courage to tell them. "I've decided not to apply to law school," I announced, my voice steadier than my hands. "I've been accepted to the Institute of Culinary Arts." The silence felt physical, pressing against my skin. My father set down his fork with deliberate care. "Cooking," he said, the word like a contagious disease. "You want to spend your life as a short-order cook when you could be a lawyer? It's not just cooking, Dad. It's a hobby, Scarlett, not a career." I slip away from the pre-ceremony crowd, my lungs suddenly too small for proper breathing. An empty hallway offers temporary sanctuary. I lean against the wall, cool marble against my flushed skin, and close my eyes. Another memory surfaces. Michael, age 12, bringing home an A on a social studies project. Dad framing it for his office. Me, age 14, winning a junior cooking competition. Dad asking if I'd finished my algebra homework. Why am I still seeking their approval after all these years? The question circles my mind like a shark. I've built a career I'm proud of. I run a professional kitchen with 18 staff members. Food critics praise my seasonal menu innovations. None of that matters within these walls, in this family. I remember Chef Marcus's words during my first week as head chef, when I'd apologized for correcting a senior line cook's technique. "Your talent doesn't need their validation, Scarlett. Your knowledge speaks for itself." I straighten my spine and reapply my lipstick using my phone camera. Professional mask in place. I return to the gathering just as guests are being ushered toward the ceremony space. My cousin Brittany intercepts me, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the light. "Scarlett, Mom told me you're working at that French restaurant. Do you like being a cook?" I maintain my smile. "I'm the head chef at Maison Bleu, actually, not just a cook." My father materializes beside us, champagne in hand. "It's all the same thing, Scarlett. You work in a kitchen." Something snaps inside me. The professional reputation I've built, the certifications earned through late-night studying after grueling shifts, the articles featuring my farm-to-table approach, all dismissed in 9 careless words. "Excuse me," I murmur, stepping away before I say something I'll regret. The power imbalance feels suffocating. My father controls the narrative here. In this gathering of family, friends, colleagues, and relatives, I'm just Richard Anderson's daughter who chose kitchens over courtrooms, the black sheep who couldn't follow the family tradition. I worked too hard to let them reduce me to this. Each burn on my forearms, each callus on my hands, each 16-hour shift represents my commitment to a profession they consider beneath them. My phone buzzes in my clutch. A text from Chef Marcus. "How's the wedding from hell going?" My fingers hover over the screen. The truth spills out. They're making me feel like I'm nothing. His response comes quickly. Remember who you are. You didn't earn that ServeSafe manager certification by being just a cook. He's right. That certification required hundreds of hours of study, practical application, and a rigorous exam that many industry veterans fail multiple times. I passed on my first attempt with a near-perfect score. The usher directs remaining guests toward the ceremony. I stand straighter, shoulders back, chin lifted slightly. The posture of someone who commands a professional kitchen, not someone seeking approval. I've earned my place in this profession, whether they see it or not. And something tells me that before this wedding is over, they might finally understand exactly what it means to be a chef. I spot the seafood platters first. A bounty of pearlescent shrimp, glistening oysters, and delicate crab claws artfully arranged across silver trays. Under normal circumstances, I'd appreciate the presentation, the careful placement, the garnishes thoughtfully positioned to enhance the visual appeal. But my trained eye catches something else entirely. The seafood sits under decorative lighting, not refrigeration. It's been there for too long. Are these platters supposed to be out already? I ask a passing server who balances a tray of champagne flutes. They've been setting up the displays for about 40 minutes, she replies with a harried smile. We're running behind schedule. My internal temperature alarm blares. 40 minutes at room temperature for seafood is approaching danger zone territory. I watch a young server approach the catering manager, a stocky man with a perpetual frown beneath his thinning hair. Should we be keeping these on ice? The server asks, her voice hesitant. It's fine. We're busy, the manager snaps, dismissing her with a flick of his wrist. Stop wasting time and get the rest of the platters out. A chill runs down my spine that has nothing to do with the air conditioning. My professional instincts shift into high alert, years of training crystallizing into sharp focus. Seafood held above 40 degrees can become dangerous within 2 hours, less in a warm room packed with people. I glance at the elderly guests already gathering, including my grandmother who survived a heart attack last year. Michael's pregnant sister-in-law chats with cousins near the bar. I move closer to the service entrance, where the venue manager speaks in hushed, urgent tones with the catering manager. We lost 2 servers and a supervisor this morning, the venue manager explains, her brow furrowed with worry. Just make it work. We're behind schedule, the catering manager responds with an arrogant smile. Nobody notices these little details anyway. Little details. The words echo in my mind, connecting to countless memories. Dad praising Michael's graduation speech while calling my culinary school valedictorian address nice enough. Mom showcasing my brother's law school acceptance on social media while my James Beard nomination certificate gathered dust in her desk drawer. The pattern stretches back to childhood, appearances valued over substance, credentials over actual skill. What they've never understood is that in my profession, those little details are the difference between a memorable celebration and 200 cases of food poisoning. I scan the crowd, mentally cataloging the vulnerable guests. Elderly relatives, a cousin with a compromised immune system, small children running between tables. Over 200 people at risk because someone decided food safety protocols were inconvenient details. The magnitude of what might happen crashes over me. Michael's wedding, the event my parents have spent a year planning, the celebration they've invested their social capital in, could end with ambulances and hospital visits. Their golden child's perfect day destroyed by something entirely preventable. My chef's training and food safety knowledge, the very expertise my family has dismissed for years, suddenly transforms from professional pride to critical necessity. The ServeSafe Manager certification Dad once called a fancy piece of paper for kitchen workers might be the only thing standing between these guests and a medical emergency. I remember his dismissive laugh when I proudly showed him my certification after passing the exam with a near-perfect score. Couldn't you have put that study time towards something more professional, Scarlett? Law school applications, maybe? Now I look at the seafood display through new eyes. This isn't about validation anymore. It's not about proving my worth to a family that has consistently undervalued my chosen path. Real people could get sick, seriously sick. The pregnant woman lifting a shrimp to her mouth. The elderly man with diabetes selecting an oyster. I feel my spine straighten, my breathing steady. I can't let people get sick, even if it means confrontation. I whisper to myself, a mantra forming in real time. I approach my father, keeping my voice low and professional. Dad, we have a serious problem with the food service. The seafood has been sitting out without proper temperature control. It's a health hazard. His smile remains fixed, eyes darting to nearby guests. Don't cause a scene. This is Michael's day. I'm not trying to cause a scene. I'm trying to prevent food poisoning. My mother materializes beside him, her hand lightly touching my arm. Her peach dress matches her perfectly manicured nails, everything coordinated for the photographer's benefit. Not everyone obsesses over these things like you do, dear, she says with the gentle condescension I've grown accustomed to. The caterers know what they're doing. Mom, this isn't about being obsessive. The seafood is in the temperature danger zone. Anyone who eats it risks getting sick. Dad's posture stiffens, his lawyer face sliding into place. The Hendersons recommended this catering company. They've handled events for the governor. That doesn't make their food magically immune to bacteria, I counter, keeping my voice calm despite the urgency building inside me. His voice drops to a harsh whisper. I'm warning you, don't embarrass this family. If you make a fuss about the food at your brother's wedding, you'll regret it. The threat hangs between us, so familiar it almost makes me laugh. The same warning given when I chose culinary school over law, when I missed a family gathering for my first executive chef position, when I corrected his pronunciation of bouillabaisse at a dinner party. My mother pats my hand. Why don't you go enjoy yourself? Meet the Wilson's son, he's a doctor. Her emphasis on the last word speaks volumes. The realization hits me with perfect clarity. They would rather risk 200 guests getting food poisoning than acknowledge my professional expertise or disrupt their perfect social event. The stakes aren't just my wounded pride anymore. They're potentially life-threatening. Leave the food to the professionals we hired, Dad says with finality, turning away to greet an approaching colleague. Professionals. The word stings, but also steels my resolve. I am a professional, one whose knowledge is particularly relevant right now. I scan the room and spot the venue manager near the entrance to the kitchen, clipboard in hand, worry lines creasing her forehead. I approach her with purpose, extending my hand. Miss Waters? I'm Scarlett Anderson. The bride's sister? Is everything all right? Groom's sister, I correct automatically. And no, everything isn't all right. I pull out my wallet and remove my ServeSafe Manager certification card. I'm not just a concerned guest. I'm a professional. I'm the head chef at Maison Bleu, and those seafood platters are at dangerous temperatures. Her eyes widen as she examines my credentials. You're a certified food safety manager? Yes, and those platters need to be temperature checked immediately. Relief washes over her face. We lost our food safety supervisor last week. I knew something was off with the setup, but the catering manager insisted everything was standard procedure. She lowers her voice. Can you help us? For the first time today, someone is looking at me not as Richard Anderson's disappointing daughter, but as a qualified professional whose expertise has value. The recognition floods me with a sense of purpose stronger than any family approval. I need to check those temperatures immediately, I say, already moving toward the kitchen. Eleanor falls into step beside me. Thank you, Chef Anderson. I think you might be saving this wedding in more ways than you know. I slip into the kitchen through the swinging doors, heart pounding. The weight of what I'm about to do settles like a stone in my stomach. Eleanor follows close behind, her clipboard clutched against her chest. The main cooler is this way, she whispers, leading me past bustling staff who barely glance our way. A sous chef eyes us suspiciously but returns to his furious chopping when Eleanor flashes her venue manager badge. She pulls open a heavy stainless steel door, and cool air washes over us. Here, she hands me a digital probe thermometer, our backup. The staff should be using these consistently, but I nod, understanding the unspoken concern. The thermometer feels like an extension of my hand, a familiar tool of my trade. I approach the seafood platters first, elegant arrangements of shrimp, crab, and salmon that would look beautiful on any table, but beauty isn't the issue here. I slide the probe into a large shrimp, careful not to contaminate other pieces. The digital display climbs past 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 45 degrees Fahrenheit, finally stopping at 52 degrees Fahrenheit. My stomach tightens. This is dangerously out of temperature range, I say, keeping my voice steady despite the anger rising in my chest. Seafood should never exceed 41 degrees Fahrenheit during storage or display. Eleanor's face pales. Are you certain? I take 3 more readings from different platters, documenting each one on the notepad she provides. Every reading hovers around 52 degrees Fahrenheit, a perfect breeding ground for bacteria. The refrigeration unit is running, I note, but it's struggling. When was the last maintenance check? 2 weeks ago, Eleanor says, flipping through her clipboard. Everything passed inspection. I pull out my phone and take photographs of each reading, careful to capture the timestamp. I need you to witness these readings, I tell Eleanor. She signs each notation with her name and title. Moving methodically through the kitchen, I uncover more violations. Raw chicken stored above ready-to-eat vegetables, dressings without date markings, a hand-washing sink without soap. The pattern becomes clear. This isn't just one mistake, but systematic negligence. When we confront the head caterer, a portly man with sweat beading on his forehead, his face turns crimson. We've never had complaints before, he snaps, snatching the notepad from my hand. Who are you to inspect my kitchen? Eleanor steps forward. She's a certified food safety manager. We need to listen. Something shifts in the air, the first acknowledgement of my professional credentials from someone with authority. The caterer's eyes narrow as he glances at my ServeSafe manager card, which I've placed on the counter. Those readings must be wrong, he mutters, but I can see the uncertainty creeping into his expression. Check them yourself, I offer, handing him the thermometer. The seafood has been in the danger zone long enough to allow bacterial growth that could cause severe food poisoning. His hands shake slightly as he takes his own readings. The numbers don't lie. With each piece of documented evidence, I feel my confidence growing, not the nervous, defensive posture I'd adopted earlier with my family, but something more substantial, the quiet authority that comes from knowing exactly what I'm talking about. We need to pull all seafood items immediately, I state, my voice carrying across the kitchen. Several staff members pause their work, turning to watch the confrontation. Eleanor nods. I agree. What about the chicken? Needs to be moved below all ready-to-eat foods and checked for proper cooking temperature before service. I'm thinking systematically now, addressing each risk methodically. The dressings need dating or discarding if we can't verify preparation time. A young line cook approaches hesitantly. I tried to tell him earlier about the temperature issue, but he wouldn't listen. The head caterer glares at the young man but says nothing. Thank you for speaking up, I tell the cook. That was the right thing to do. Eleanor touches my arm. We need to inform your father and the management. My momentary confidence wavers. Facing my father with this information will be harder than confronting the caterer. But the evidence is clear and the risk to guests is real. Let's do it, I say, gathering my documentation. The seafood needs to be pulled immediately. Eleanor leads me to a small office off the main reception area. My father is already there, along with the venue's general manager, a tall woman with a severe bun and sharp eyes. What's this about seafood being removed? My father demands the moment I walk in. His voice carries that familiar dismissive tone that makes me feel 14 years old again. I place my documentation on the table between us, photos, temperature readings, witness signatures. Professional evidence, not emotional appeals. This seafood will cause food poisoning, I state plainly. It needs to be pulled immediately. My father scoffs. You're overreacting and embarrassing us. The words sting, but I hold my ground. This isn't about me or you. It's about guest safety. I turn to the venue manager. The seafood has been held at 52 degrees for an unknown period. FDA guidelines require seafood to remain below 41 degrees. At current temperatures, bacteria double approximately every 20 minutes. The venue manager frowns, examining my documentation. These readings are concerning. Concerning? My father interrupts. It's just a few degrees. Scarlett has always been dramatic about these things. Eleanor steps forward. Your daughter is right. We have a serious issue. The venue manager's eyes sharpen. Mr. Anderson, we could face significant liability if guests become ill. The temperatures Ms. Anderson has documented put us well into the danger zone for bacterial growth. I watch my father's face as the realization dawns. This isn't about his daughter overstepping. This is about legal liability. I'm not asking permission, I say, surprising myself with my steadiness. I'm telling you as a food safety professional what needs to happen. For a moment, no one speaks. The power in the room has shifted imperceptibly but definitively. The venue manager turns to Eleanor. Pull all seafood items immediately. Inform the kitchen staff. Eleanor nods. Yes, ma'am. Based on Ms. Anderson's certification, her assessment is actionable. My father's jaw tightens, but he says nothing as Eleanor leaves to execute the order. I've won this round, not through family position or social standing, but through professional expertise. Back in the kitchen, the atmosphere has transformed. Staff move with renewed purpose, following my guidance on safe food handling. The head caterer, now subdued, asks questions about proper cooling procedures. Chef Anderson, Eleanor calls as she returns. The staff needs direction on replacement options. Chef Anderson. Not Ms. Anderson or Richard's daughter. The simple acknowledgement of my professional title sends a wave of validation through me. A server approaches, extending her hand. Thank you for catching this. My grandmother is here tonight. She's 82 and had a heart valve replacement last year. Food poisoning could have been devastating for her. Before I can respond, another guest enters the kitchen, a middle-aged man in an expensive suit. Are you the chef who caught the temperature issue? He asks, extending his hand. I'm Thomas Riley, executive chef at the Harrington downtown. Quick thinking. You just saved a lot of people from food poisoning. His recognition, professional peer to professional peer, washes over me like a balm. For the first time tonight, I feel seen for who I really am, not as someone's daughter or sister. The kitchen staff gather around as I begin discussing safe alternatives. One suggests a quick pasta dish that could substitute for the seafood course. Another mentions extra chicken inventory that could be prepared safely in time. At this moment, surrounded by people who respect my knowledge, I realize something profound. My worth doesn't depend on my family's recognition. The validation of peers who understand the value of what I do matters more than my father's approval ever could. Eleanor returns, her face flushed with urgency. The seafood's been removed, but now we have 200 hungry guests and a 3-course meal missing its centerpiece. What do we do next? The question hangs in the air as all eyes turn to me. For the first time tonight, I feel not just confident, but powerful. This is my domain. This is where I excel. Now, I say, rolling up my sleeves, we save my brother's wedding dinner. I burst through the swinging doors into the kitchen, Eleanor Waters right behind me. The last traces of triumph from the seafood confrontation evaporate as reality sets in. 200 hungry wedding guests. No main course. 35 minutes until service. Everyone, listen up. My voice cuts through the kitchen chatter with the authority I've earned running Maison Bleu. The seafood has been pulled due to unsafe temperatures. We need an alternative menu immediately. The kitchen staff, a mix of venue employees and catering personnel, exchange nervous glances. I scan their faces, mentally cataloging skills and specialties. Chef Anderson, Eleanor steps forward, all business now. The Anderson family expect, let's make something better than what they expected, I interrupt, my mind already racing through possibilities. First, what do we have? I need a full inventory. While 2-line cooks check refrigerators and storage areas, I grab a notepad and sketch a replacement menu. My serve-safe training shifts from defense to offense. What can we prepare safely with available ingredients under severe time constraints? We have 40 pounds of chicken breast, calls out a young woman with practiced knife skills, whole, boneless. 20 pounds of pasta, assorted dried varieties, adds a sous chef. Fresh vegetables, plenty of herbs, reports another. I nod, calculating portions, cooking times, flavor profiles. Good. We can work with this. The kitchen staff gathers around as I lay out the battle plan. Station 1, chicken with lemon beurre blanc. Station 2, handmade mushroom cream pasta. Station 3, seasonal vegetables. I assign stations based on what I've observed of their skills. The woman with knife skills heads protein prep. The older cook with steady hands takes sauce duty. The energetic young man who moves efficiently goes to vegetable station. Questions? I ask, scanning their faces. Is this allowed? Asks one server hesitantly. Eleanor steps in. It's more than allowed. It's necessary. I catch her eye with silent gratitude before continuing. We're not playing blame games. We're solving a problem. This isn't about the seafood anymore. It's about giving these guests a safe, excellent meal. Eleanor checks her watch. I'll handle front of house communication. You manage the kitchen. As she leaves, I pull out my phone and tap Chef Marcus's contact. He answers on the second ring. Marcus, I need advice on a rapid menu conversion. His voice steadies me as I explain the situation. Smart move pulling the seafood. For the chicken, marinate quickly in lemon and herbs to boost flavor fast. Use the pasta water starch to thicken your cream sauce. I put him on speaker while supervising the chicken prep. What about presentation? These people were expecting elegant seafood platters. Vertical plating, he suggests. Stack components. Add height. Use negative space. Make simple ingredients look premium. While Marcus talks, I verify each staff member's food handling credentials. No more surprises tonight. The woman at Protein Station mentions culinary school training, perfect for the delicate sauce work. Timeline. Marcus asks. Now, 30 minutes to complete menu pivot. You've got this, he says before hanging up. The kitchen transforms into synchronized motion. Chicken marinates in lemon, herbs, and olive oil. Pasta water boils. Vegetables are cut with precision. Every surface utilized. Every hand in motion. I coordinate with the serving team leader. We'll need synchronized service. All tables within 8 minutes of each other. Eleanor returns, nodding approval at our progress. Front of house is handled. I've told the event coordinator we're making adjustments due to quality concerns. Not mentioning food safety specifically? Exactly. No need to cause panic. The chicken sizzles on hot pans, filling the kitchen with savory aromas. The mushroom sauce reduces to silky perfection. Vegetables retain their vibrant colors, blanched then shocked in ice water. I'm testing the chicken temperature when the kitchen door swings open with force. My father stands there, face flushed with controlled anger. What exactly do you think you're doing? He demands, voice low but sharp. I maintain my composure, thermometer still in hand. Ensuring your guests have dinner, Dad. You've pulled an entire seafood service that cost thousands of dollars, he hisses, stepping closer. Who gave you that authority? The health department gave me that authority when they certified me, I reply evenly, continuing to work as we talk. His eyes narrow. If you ruin Michael's wedding dinner, you'll regret it. The threat hangs in the air, familiar yet somehow less potent than before. I meet his gaze directly. Dad, please let me do my job. I'm trying to save this reception. He opens his mouth to argue further, but Eleanor appears behind him. Mr. Anderson, we need the kitchen clear for service preparation. My father hesitates, then turns toward the door. Before leaving, he gives me one last warning look. I take a deep breath and return to the chicken, checking temperatures with renewed determination. Cooking I understand, kitchens I can control, and tonight, despite my father's disapproval, I am exactly where I need to be. The restaurant kitchen thrums with focused energy as I guide my impromptu team through the final stages of our replacement menu. Despite the chaos of the last hour, a familiar calm settles over me as I move between stations, checking temperatures and tasting sauces. Chef, the beurre blanc is ready for your approval, calls one of the line cooks, a young woman named Jenna who adapted to my leadership without question. I dip a spoon into the creamy lemon sauce and nod. Perfect. Start plating the chicken. My voice carries the same authority I use at Maison Bleu, and the kitchen staff responds with immediate action. Every component of our replacement menu nears completion. Herb roasted chicken, resting before slicing, handmade pasta tossed with mushroom cream sauce, and seasonal vegetables arranged in elegant fans. The simple ingredients transform under our care, elevated by technique rather than expensive components. Hold that asparagus another 30 seconds. I tell a cook about to remove a pan from the flame. We want color but not softness. The kitchen feels like my territory now, a place where years of training and experience actually matter. I move with purpose between stations, maintaining the steady rhythm that defines professional kitchens everywhere. No wasted motion, no unnecessary words. Remember, we're not just avoiding disaster. I tell the team as they begin arranging components on warmed plates. We're creating excellence. A server approaches with a question about wine pairings, and I provide recommendations without breaking stride. This isn't damage control anymore. It's a complete reimagining of what the wedding dinner can be. Every plate leaves the kitchen looking like it was always meant to be served, not a last-minute substitution. The swinging doors burst open, and my mother storms into the kitchen with the wedding planner trailing behind her. Diana Anderson's perfectly coiffed hair and designer dress look out of place among the stainless steel and kitchen whites. Richard says you've thrown out the seafood. Her voice carries over the kitchen sounds, drawing uncomfortable glances from the staff. I wipe my hands on a towel and approach her calmly. Mom, I can explain. Explain what? That you're sabotaging your brother's wedding out of jealousy. She fumbles in her clutch for her phone. I'm calling Frank Donahue right now. He owns the catering company and plays golf with your father. The accusation stings worse than any kitchen burn. Jealousy? After everything I've done to prevent a disaster? The wedding planner steps forward, her clipboard clutched against her chest like armor. Mrs. Anderson, the reception timeline is already delayed by 20 minutes. The guests are getting restless. My mother's eyes narrow. Fix this, Scarlett. Now. A younger version of me would have launched into a defensive explanation, laying out the food safety violations in excruciating detail. But defending myself isn't the priority. 200 hungry guests are. Mom, please let me handle this, I say, maintaining eye contact. I promise your guests will be impressed with what we're serving. They paid for seafood, Scarlett, and they'll get something better. I turn to check a plate a line cook presents for inspection, adjusting the sauce placement slightly. Something safe. My mother lingers, watching me direct the kitchen with obvious surprise. Perhaps she's never seen this side of me, the professional who commands respect not through family connections, but through earned expertise. The pasta needs more garnish, I call out, turning my attention fully back to the food. My mother eventually retreats, the wedding planner hurrying after her. The kitchen settles back into its rhythm. I taste the mushroom sauce one final time, adding a pinch of salt. More herbs on the chicken, I instruct, moving to inspect the vegetable presentation. Every dish receives my personal attention. I check temperatures, seasoning, and plating with the precision that earned me my position at Maison Bleu. There's no room for mistakes, not when every plate will be judged not just on taste, but against expectations of the original menu. First seating is ready, I announce after inspecting the final arrangement. Servers line up with trays as I make last-minute adjustments to garnishes. The kitchen doors swing open again, and Eleanor steps in. Her professional demeanor has softened, replaced by genuine admiration as she surveys our work. It's time, she says. The guests are seated and waiting. I take a deep breath, straightening my spine and lifting my chin slightly. In this moment, I'm not Richard Anderson's disappointing daughter or Michael's jealous sister. I'm Chef Anderson, a professional who knows exactly what she's doing. Whatever happens next, I've done my job, not as a daughter trying to earn approval, but as a chef protecting her guests. I gather the serving staff around me, aware of every passing second. Tonight, we're serving roasted herb chicken with lemon beurre blanc, handmade pasta with mushroom cream sauce, and fresh seasonal vegetables. Every dish has been prepared with care and meets the highest safety standards. The words steady me. This is what I know. This is what I do. Table 6 gets the vegetarian option, I continue. Tables 12 and 14 have guests with gluten intolerance, so their pasta is replaced with roasted potatoes. The bride's grandmother at table 1 gets a smaller portion with extra sauce, as requested. The servers nod, their expressions a mix of stress and determination. We're all in this together now. Let's go, I say. The kitchen erupts into coordinated motion. Line cooks plate with precision, servers arrange trays, and I inspect each dish before it leaves the kitchen. The mechanics of service take over, a dance I've performed thousands of times at Maison Bleu. Eleanor appears at my side as the first trays of food leave the kitchen. Chef Anderson has created something special under difficult circumstances, she tells the servers. Make sure the guests know that. The first plates disappear through the swinging doors, carried by servers with carefully arranged smiles. I stand frozen in place, suddenly aware of what I've done. I've taken responsibility for feeding 200 people on almost no notice, with limited ingredients and borrowed staff. If they hate it, Michael will make his announcement. My parents will never forgive me. The professional reputation I've built will mean nothing in the family narrative. Eleanor stays beside me as we watch through the small window in the kitchen door. They're going to love it, she says quietly. This food has heart. The kitchen staff clusters behind us, peering through any available opening. We watch as the first guests receive their plates. A woman at table 3 takes a bite of the chicken. She pauses, then smiles, says something to her companion. Can't tell if that's a good or bad reaction, whispers one of the line cooks. I hold my breath as more guests begin eating. A man at table 7 closes his eyes as he tastes the mushroom pasta. Another guest points at her plate, nodding enthusiastically to the server. But these individual reactions won't matter if my family decides I've ruined everything. The stakes have never been higher. My entire identity, professional and personal, hinges on what happens in the next few minutes. More plates ready, calls a voice behind me. I turn back to the kitchen, to the work that grounds me. Let's keep going. As I inspect the next round of plates, I catch Eleanor watching me with an expression I can't quite read. You know, she says, most people would have collapsed under this kind of pressure. I adjust a sprig of herbs on a plate. This is what I do every day. Not with your family trying to sabotage you. The truth of her words hits hard. At Maison Bleu, my expertise is respected. Here, I'm fighting for basic professional recognition from the people who should know me best. The doors swing open as a server returns. Chef Anderson, she says, and my heart stops. The guests at table 1 are asking if they can meet you after dinner. They say it's the best emergency menu they've ever had. Relief floods through me, but I don't let my expression change. Thank them, but let's focus on getting everyone served first. As the second round of plates leaves the kitchen, I allow myself a small moment of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this food will speak for itself. And maybe that will finally be enough. The dining room ripples with whispers as servers deliver the first plates of our replacement menu. My stomach knots as I watch from the kitchen doorway, tucked just far enough back to observe without being obvious. Every part of my chef's brain catalogs the plates as they move through the room, presentation intact, portion sizes consistent, sauce placement precise. But it's the reactions I'm waiting for. Folks are loving it, Eleanor whispers, appearing at my elbow. Watch table 7. An older gentleman at table 7 cuts into his herb-roasted chicken, takes a bite, and closes his eyes. His expression shifts from polite expectation to genuine pleasure. He touches his wife's arm, murmurs something, and she immediately samples her own plate. Her eyebrows lift in surprise. Don't jinx it, I breathe. But a warm current spreads beneath my ribs. The murmurs grow louder as more guests receive their food. Conversations pause while people eat. Servers return to the kitchen without the usual half-eaten plates that signal dissatisfaction. Chef, they're asking for more sauce on the side, reports a server, practically bouncing with excitement. Table 12 said it's the best chicken they've ever had at a wedding. Table 9 wants to know if we have recipe cards, adds another. The kitchen staff exchange glances, their earlier tension dissolving into cautious smiles. When I'd first commandeered their kitchen, they'd followed my instructions with professional skepticism. Now they move with the proud confidence of a team that knows they've delivered something exceptional. Miss Waters. A woman in her 60s approaches Eleanor. Is it possible to compliment the chef? This pasta is extraordinary. Eleanor's smile widens. Actually, that's Chef Anderson right there, she gestures toward me. The woman turns, surprise registering as she recognizes me from the ceremony. You're Michael's sister. You made this? I nod, professional mask firmly in place. Yes, ma'am. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Enjoying doesn't cover it, she lowers her voice. My sister attended the Peterson wedding last month, food poisoning from bad seafood. 32 people spent their night in the emergency room instead of dancing. A chill runs through me at how close we'd come to the same disaster. Your parents must be so proud, she continues. Before I can formulate a diplomatic response, Eleanor gently interrupts. Chef Anderson completely redesigned tonight's menu when food safety issues were discovered with the original catering. She prevented what could have been a very unfortunate situation. The woman's eyes widen. Well, I'll be telling everyone at my table. That was quick thinking. As she returns to her seat, I watch her lean in to speak with her table mates. Heads turn in my direction, followed by appreciative nods. The word is spreading, Eleanor says, satisfaction evident in her voice. Near the head table, I spot Dr. Wilkins, my parents' longtime friend and a respected gastroenterologist. He's explaining something to the surrounding tables, gesturing toward his plate, then toward me. The medical explanation of what might have happened carries weight coming from him. Your chicken is perfect, a familiar voice says behind me. I turn to find Michael's college roommate, now a restaurant critic for the city paper. Thanks, James. No, seriously, he holds up his fork. This beurre blanc has the perfect acid balance. How did you pull this off on zero notice? Trade secret, I smile, but my attention drifts toward the head table, where my parents sit with Michael and his new wife. Even from here, I can see my father's rigid posture as guests approach to compliment the food and presumably mention the averted disaster. My mother's social smile looks strained. Michael, however, is genuinely enjoying his meal, oblivious to the undercurrents as he beams at his bride. Chef Anderson? The venue's event coordinator approaches with a wireless microphone. We'd like to make a brief announcement before dessert is served. My stomach drops. That's really not necessary. It absolutely is, Eleanor cuts in firmly. This is standard procedure when special circumstances affect an event. The coordinator nods agreement. It's important for liability reasons that we acknowledge what happened and how it was addressed. Before I can protest further, she strides to the center of the reception hall, taps the microphone, and the room gradually quiets. Good evening, everyone. Before we bring out the wedding cake, I want to take a moment to acknowledge something important. Her voice carries clearly through the sound system. Earlier tonight, we had a potential food safety situation with the original menu. I want to recognize Chef Scarlett Anderson, whose professional expertise prevented what could have been a serious health issue. Faces turn in my direction, and I feel heat rising in my cheeks. Chef Anderson, who happens to be the groom's sister, identified the problem and then led our kitchen team in this entirely new menu on extremely short notice. Her quick action and culinary skill transformed a potential disaster into the wonderful dining experience you've enjoyed tonight. Applause breaks out, scattered at first, then spreading across the room. Several guests stand, including Dr. Wilkins and his entire table. Eleanor nudges me forward, and I manage a small, professional nod of acknowledgement, fighting the urge to retreat to the kitchen. Through the crowd, I catch my father's expression, a complex mixture of surprise, discomfort, and something that might be dawning respect. My mother sits perfectly still, her social mask momentarily dropped to reveal genuine astonishment. As the applause fades and the coordinator returns the reception to its scheduled program, guests begin approaching me directly. No longer am I just Richard Anderson's daughter, who chose kitchens over courtrooms. Now I'm Chef Anderson, the professional whose expertise saved the wedding. Chef, an older man, introduces himself as the manager of the city's premier hotel. We're opening a new restaurant space next spring. I'd like to talk to you about consulting on our kitchen setup. A caterer slips me her business card. We need someone with your food safety knowledge. Call me Monday. As the reception shifts toward dancing, Michael breaks away from the receiving line and makes his way to me. His face is flushed, perhaps from champagne, perhaps from emotion. Scar, he starts, using my childhood nickname for the first time in years. Dad told me what happened with the food. You saved my wedding. Just doing my job, I reply, the response automatic. No, he shakes his head emphatically. I didn't understand what you really do. I thought, he looks embarrassed. I thought being a chef was just about cooking nice food. The irony almost makes me laugh. There's a bit more to it. Clearly. He glances back at the head table, where our parents are deep in conversation with the venue manager. "You know what Dad just said to me?" He said, "Your sister might be the most competent professional in this family." Something loosens in my chest, a knot I hadn't realized was there. Eleanor approaches with a glass of champagne for me. "Chef Anderson, I'd like to discuss something. The Grand Meridian has been looking for a food safety consultant for our venue. After tonight, I'm hoping you might consider the position." "I'd be interested," I say, surprised by how steady my voice sounds. As dessert is served, I notice my father watching me from across the room, his expression thoughtful. When our eyes meet, he raises his glass in a small, private toast. The venue manager approaches the microphone again. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to propose a toast before the dancing begins." She raises her glass. "To Michael and Caitlin, of course." The crowd murmurs approval. "And to Chef Anderson, who reminded us all tonight that true professionalism shines brightest under pressure." 200 glasses rise in unison. "To Chef Anderson." In that moment, with my professional title echoing through the hall of my brother's wedding, I finally feel the complete integration of my two worlds. No longer the family disappointment with the impractical career, but Chef Scarlett Anderson, professional, expert, respected. As I sip my champagne, I catch my reflection in the ballroom's mirrored wall. The woman staring back wears a lavender dress and tired eyes, but her shoulders are straight, her chin lifted. She looks like exactly who she is, a chef who saved the day and, in doing so, found her place at the family table. I adjust the framed certificate on my office wall, ServeSafe Manager, Scarlett Anderson, as sunshine streams through the windows of my new consulting space. 6 months since Michael's wedding, and this small office represents everything that changed that night. My phone buzzes with a text from Eleanor. "Conference room ready for your food safety workshop. 15 venue managers confirmed." The memory of that wedding night flashes through my mind, not the humiliation of my parents' dismissal, but what came after, the turning point when everything changed. Richard approached me awkwardly as guests were leaving, his lawyer's confidence noticeably absent. "I didn't realize what your work really entailed," he said, hands fidgeting with his tie. When that doctor from Table 7 explained what could have happened, I remember nodding, not rushing to fill the uncomfortable silence between us. "The venue manager called you Chef Anderson," he continued. "I've never heard anyone use your title before." I was A-placed in the Benner allowed it. That night, 3 local venue owners asked for my card. The next morning, Eleanor called with a formal consulting offer. "We need your expertise on a regular basis." By week's end, a reporter from the West Side Chronicle contacted me about the wedding rescue, as people were calling it. Chef Marcus sent me screenshots of industry texts praising his protege. "Told you they'd see what I see," he wrote. Michael and his wife visited my restaurant the following week. "You're amazing," my brother said, the golden child's humility new to his repertoire. "We were wrong about your career, Scarlett. Dead wrong." The most validating moment came when the health department contacted the venue about the incident report, confirming my judgment had prevented a major health crisis. I grabbed my laptop and presentation materials, heading toward today's workshop. The woman walking confidently through downtown now bears little resemblance to the one who arrived at that wedding 6 months ago, unsure of her place. Sunday dinner at my parents' home has transformed. Last week, Dad asked about proper refrigeration temperatures for leftovers. Mom requested my opinion on a caterer for her charity function. These small acknowledgments feel more significant than any grand apology. My regional culinary magazine profile sits framed beside my certification, Safety First, How Chef Anderson is Transforming Event Catering Standards. The article mentions my consulting work with 5 major venues and my new teaching position at the Culinary Institute. When the corporate restaurant group offered me a national safety director position with triple my current income, I surprised myself by declining. "I prefer maintaining my independence," I told them, the words coming easily. The old Scarlett would have jumped at external validation through title and salary. Last month, I began mentoring junior chefs at the culinary school, telling them what took me years to learn: your value comes from your work, not others' opinions of it. I arrive at the venue where it all began, now a regular client. Eleanor meets me in the lobby, tablet in hand. Your presentation schedule is confirmed through next quarter, she says. The Anderson safety protocols are becoming industry standard downtown. I smile at the name she's given my systematic approach, my family name now associated with excellence rather than embarrassment. The retirement venue called to confirm your mother's celebration next week, Eleanor adds. They're excited to have you consulting for Diana's party. Mom's retirement gathering at the Wellington represents another full-circle moment. I helped redesign their kitchen protocols last month, the perfect setting for her celebration. When I arrive at the Wellington for Mom's retirement party, the contrast with Michael's wedding couldn't be starker. I wear a simple black dress, professional rather than apologetic. I spot Dad near the entrance, surrounded by his law partners. Instead of avoiding eye contact as he once might have, he waves me over enthusiastically. This is my daughter Scarlett, he tells the group, his voice carrying that unmistakable note of pride. She's revolutionizing food safety standards in our city. His colleague nods appreciatively. My wife attended your workshop last month, said it was the most valuable training their hospital catering staff has ever received. Later, as guests mingle with cocktails, Mom approaches. The director told me they completely reorganized their kitchen because of your recommendations. Sometimes you have to stand firm on what you know is right, I say, even when it's difficult. Her eyes soften with understanding that goes beyond my professional accomplishments. Eleanor joins us, champagne in hand. Have you told them about the scholarship program? Mom looks intrigued. Scholarship. The Scarlett Anderson Safety Scholarship, Eleanor explains. We're launching it next semester at the Culinary Institute, helping students understand the critical importance of food safety early in their training. The program represents everything I've worked toward, not just personal validation, but creating lasting impact. 3 venues have already improved their safety protocols through my consulting, potentially preventing countless illnesses. The room quiets as Dad takes the small stage for a toast to Mom's career. After praising her accomplishments, he pauses, looking in my direction. Diana and I have learned much in recent months, he says, his voice carrying unexpected emotion. I've learned that real respect comes from honoring expertise, even when it appears in unexpected places. Murmurs of agreement ripple through the gathering. I feel a weight lifting that I've carried for years, the burden of seeking approval that never seemed to come. As applause fills the room, I realize a fundamental truth. My worth was never about their approval. It was always about the lives I could protect through my knowledge. That's the legacy I'm building, one kitchen at a time. When Dad raises his glass in my direction, I raise mine in return, equals at last. Professionals in our own domains, family in all the ways that truly matter.